Learning about pain? What are you learning about life? What are you learning about yourself through everything that you ever walk through for your holistic business? How many of you are spiritual leaders and teachers here? How many of you are going through your own stuff right alongside the clients and customers and students that you are working with, that you're healing, that you're coaching, that you're serving? How many of you have been through some kind of pain over the last year? Post in the comments below right now the word pain, just to feel and to acknowledge that this is real life and your business is real life. So start us off by posting the word pain. I know this seems like a painful word to even post, but I'm going to start us off too. There we go. Pain. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Holistic Business Network. This is your weekly holistic business training. I'm Elizabeth, your guide and your host. I've been in holistic business for many years as a yoga teacher, as a nutritionist, as a healer, as a studio owner, as an events producer, a magazine publisher, and as a holistic business academy leader and teacher. I love bringing everything that I do to the women that I work with. It's so incredible. I was actually just doing a video for my year-long training program that I have about behind the scenes of my video setup. So if you want some video setup tips, post in the comments below right now, video setup. And that's just a side note. I will give you that. I've been thinking about pain and what we've all been walking through lately. And I just want to open up the conversation with you all. What have you been navigating through? What have you come up against lately? Post in the comments below. What have you been navigating either lately or for the last year? And there are a number of things that I know that many women in our community are navigating. So I grew up in British Columbia Interior, in the city that many of you worldwide have been hearing about on the news, that there were recent findings of 215 bodies of little children found at the Indigenous residential school right in Kamloops. And it's something that has sent a shockwave through our community and through our hearts. And I wasn't even able to make a video about it until now because I was very, very saddened by this news. And also not just that it was a shock, but that also it was a look at what also has been going on, what went on for hundreds of years to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on this continent, and that it was almost brushed under the rug. And so what it has brought up in our community is just this feeling of, oh my gosh, there's so much pain and there's so much suffering and there's so much damage that has been done. And it's something that has left me in tears and a lot of people in our community, and I've just been reaching out and supporting people. So if you've heard about this, type in the comments below right now what you've heard about it and how you've been feeling. And I just want you to know that you're not alone with everything that you've been going through. Whether it is a shock that you have experienced in your own community, or whether it is just the pain and struggle of growing your business, whether it's, oh my gosh, relationship challenges or health of family members, like there are things that are always moving through us. And as women in business, we're sensitive, we feel it. There are things going on nonstop. And we don't stop. Like, you are here in the Women's Holistic Business Network because you are a leader in it. And it hasn't stopped you. So if life in some way hasn't stopped you, even if it stops you for a couple months and you just have to breathe or lay on the ground, even if it stopped you for a year or two and you were like devastated, even if it stopped you for decades and you're just peeking up and going, wait, it's not too late to reclaim my life. Post in the comments right now, I keep going because. Answer that question. I'm gonna write it in here for you, actually. I keep going, and answer this for me. I keep going because. Why do you keep going? What is it that keeps you going? What is it keeps you going in your business when pain and suffering and trauma and challenges and stress and anxiety and all the things come up? Why do you keep going? So answer that question for us right in the chat. And then I invite you to reply to each other to show each other that you are absolutely not alone. That's one of the most important things that I've noticed with women in business is that we need to know that we are not alone. And it's when we know that we're not alone that we can get the accountability to help to each other to rise and to lift. I was talking to some of my clients earlier today and was just so proud of their ability to be so committed to lifting each other up. It's not just them committed to their own businesses, but so committed to lifting each other up. And that is incredible. We're setting a new template for how business really can be, because we're all here to be of service, but we're also in business. As soon as you have some kind of an exchange for something, you're in business. So what is it that keeps you going? So answer that question in the comments. I keep going because. And what is it that you've been navigating through, and how can you continue to walk through this? So this is what today's video is all about, is how can we continue to see this? And you as a holistic healer, spiritual leader, and practitioner, know that as you walk through your own challenges, that you are using them, transmuting them, and transforming them into what heals other people. And that's the alchemy of consciousness and awareness and of our own processes. Let me know what you think about that, how you feel about that. When you have to walk through something, does it become something that is fuel or food for the future generations of your clients, of your family, of who you're working with, what you're walking through that's challenging? I love what you're saying here, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. How are you? So good to see you. She keeps going because she knows her pain can be transformed into medicine to help others believe in miracles, to help others and to believe in miracles and increase her faith. This is so important and so true. And this is the path and this is the journey that we walk through. So a week ago, just over a week ago, I'm going to tell you a little story. My clients know this one. A week ago, I found a baby mouse. It was this big, like so tiny. We found this baby mouse out in the forest on the trail that we were walking, and it was right in the middle of the trail, and it was at a time where there were mountain bikes going by and people walking dogs, and this little baby mouse that was still blind was in the middle of the trail cuddling a piece of cotton from a tree that had the cotton from the cottonwoods, or the cotton's falling and it's kind of in little chunks, and it was cuddling up to this piece of cotton because it's fuzzy. And I'm thinking, it just was like, is this my mom? Is this my mom? It was in the middle of the trail, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so we kind of gently ushered it over to the edge of the trail so that it wouldn't get run over by a bike or eaten by a dog. And I'm thinking, is this mouse's life over? Like, what can I do? Most of the time people think of mice as being like rodents, and you don't want them in your house and you don't want them anywhere near you. But this little guy was so cute. And as I kind of ushered him over to the edge of the trail and then stood there to block him, I stood like this with my feet to block him from going, because it kept trying to go back to the cotton. I stood there to block him from going back on the trail. He crawled up onto my boot and then sat there. And I think maybe there was some warmth from the boot or something. It just was kind of fuzzy, so it felt nice to it. It climbed right onto the toe of it and fell asleep as I was standing there trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this thing? So all the thoughts go through. Nature's better at taking care of it. What if its mother's looking for it? We're going to just usher it over to the side of the trail and leave it. So we put something around it so that it wouldn't go back on the trail, but that it could get out and its mom could find it, and just left it for a couple hours. Like, nature's going to take care of this. And I kept thinking about all the owls that come out at this time of evening where they're going to come down and scoop them up. And we went home for a couple hours, and just my heart was just tugging, like, what can I do about this mouse? And we decided that if we went back in a couple hours and it was still there, that it wasn't finding its family, that its mother had abandoned it. And that actually happens. We looked up. It happens with mice. And it was still there when we went back. And so we brought it back and proceeded to keep it warm and happy and feed it with Q-tips. Like it would just like suckle on these little Q. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So adorable. And I've seen some cute things. It was so, so adorable. And we dedicated that maybe we could help it. And it was such a challenge of maybe we can't, like, what difference does it make? It's just one mouse of like billions of them. But it made a difference to that little guy for the days that he was here. But without a mouse mom and without nature and like how nature's incredible wisdom, the poor little guy, after 6 days, he died. He didn't survive. And I didn't realize that during that time we would get so attached to this tiny little, like, fuzzy little dude. Oh my gosh. So on the morning that he died, for the day before that, it was just going downhill. And I don't know if he was getting enough food. There were like 100 different things that we were thinking of, like, what was it? What is it? Like, why doesn't he seem to be thriving? And we don't know. We can't know. But my mind really wanted to know. And he died as I was holding him. And I cried. And then me and Steve both proceeded to cry for the rest of that day, off and on, just feeling something. And what I realized was it opened my heart to love something that didn't care if we loved it, that didn't even know what we were, that didn't even mind or matter, to love something for no reason. It was such a heart-opening experience, and it still is. Even my logical brain right now is like, it doesn't really matter. But it mattered. It mattered for the 6 days we had him, and it mattered to my heart. And I think of how so many different writings of Rumi that speak about how the heart is opening and the pain of that, but how that doorway is a doorway to everything, and that's the doorway to awakening into our soul and to our healing. And that pain opened me to a different kind of sweetness and love that I haven't experienced in a while, because it's been a while since I had a pet. Now, this mouse was not a pet. It was a wild mouse. I had no idea what we are. But it was a really opening experience. And so I was thinking about that in terms of pain, and pain being a teacher. So what is it that awakens you? What is it that you've been through that opens you up, and then you look at it and you're like, whew, this cracked my heart open. This cracked my soul open. This helped me to see something in a way that I wouldn't have before. So what is it that's cracking you open? And what is it that you're able to take that and alchemize it into medicine? Just like Michelle said, her pain can be transformed into medicine to help others. It's so beautiful. So what are you walking through? What have you navigated that you're using as medicine to help and heal others? Because that is the path of a transformational visionary healer and leader, is that you're so committed to turning it into medicine that you take a deep breath. Do it with me right now. And you feel things on a deeper level, and you just let it hurt. And that's what happened to me on Sunday when that little mouse died. I let it hurt. That's what happened to me 2 weeks ago when I heard about the 215 children. I just let it hurt. And sometimes we have to just let it hurt so that we can turn it into medicine, and then bring it to our communities and start conversations and say, hey, how are we turning this into medicine, and what can we do? What can we do? And that's one thing that's really struck me in the last couple of weeks, when I feel powerless to something that's happened in the past, powerless to injustices that were done in my own country. What can I do? I can't change it. I can't make it different for the people who experienced it. But maybe I can hold space. Maybe I can open up a conversation. And maybe somehow I can get into action. And I've been talking with the women who are in my program about creating scholarships for Indigenous women, Métis women like myself, women of color, women who have less opportunities in their communities and need some support in growing businesses. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about, is how can we create fundraising and scholarships to help and support women now who may still be experiencing, and definitely are experiencing, some generational trauma. What can we do for them? There are trained therapists, counselors, healing, doing their work. But what can we do? Maybe we can help by doing some fundraising and creating scholarships. So that's one thing that we're going to be working on. And it's the action. It's really, I believe, it's the action where healing takes place. It's two things: space and awareness and speaking about it, and then at some point having some kind of action happen. Because we can be a little bit, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's not apathetic, but it's a little bit like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about that. What's the word for that? Does anybody know the word for that? Tell me the word for that. What's the word or the phrase when we think there's nothing I can do about that? There's nothing that I can do, me, just one little person can do about that. But it might matter to one person. And when the women that I train go online and they do videos and they reach people, and maybe just one person shows up, or 3 people, or 11 people, I'm like, those 11 people's lives were changed. The one person who watched your video, their life, hopefully they got sparked and inspiration to go out into their communities and make a difference. So what's something that you can do? What's the action step that we can take? And maybe we can have a ripple effect. That's one of the things that I always stand for, and have since I started walking this path of consciousness and awakening and health and healing and business 30 years ago, was we have a ripple effect. I had this awareness that if I do something to change me, that opens up, and the people around me can get helped and healed. And if I help those people around me to get helped and healed, then they can go into their families and their communities and provide help, healing, action, light, love. And that ripple effect continues to go outwards. And it has to start with one pebble being dropped in the pond. So will you be the pebble? Will you be that person that just steps forward and gives of your heart and your soul? A theme for this month that I've been walking through with my clients is service. How can we be of deeper service? How can we open our hearts up to be of service, even when it doesn't make sense, even if our egos are doubting it? How can we actually be of more service? So another inquiry for you to answer is, how can you be of service? How can you take action and reach out and help people even more? And sometimes when we are holistic practitioners, healers, spiritual leaders, we have this feeling of like, oh, there's a parallel that goes along with this. The healers and leaders oftentimes feel like they're hiding and have to hide. And I was definitely there, and I still have days when I'm there, where it's like, who am I to do this? People are going to judge me if they see my video. I won't look good enough. I won't be smart enough. I won't know what to say. Or somebody will get back to me and say, like, what you said sucked, and it will hurt my heart. How many of the rest of you have this? But what I'm here to tell you, and what I'm here to take a stand for you in, is that, take a breath, everyone. Take a deep breath. That you being of service and getting over yourself, getting over the fear of judgment or the fear of you won't know what to say, you being of service can help the world, can help to change people's lives, can help heal and transform, because it's not about you. It's about the people who are waiting to be healed and helped and served by you. And Oprah doesn't need to be the only one that's helping people. She's untouchable. Or whoever it is that is the person that you follow. You know, Glennon Doyle doesn't have to be the only one that's allowed to have a book and a podcast. You can too. Because people need to hear your message in your way, in your voice, from your unique background, because you are relatable and reachable. In order for you to have a successful and thriving business, you only need 10 clients. There's a system I teach that shows you exactly how to have a successful business off of just that many clients. You don't need to have hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, and you don't need to have like the fanciest website. You don't need to have a book already published. You don't need to have all the things that you think you need to have. Guess what you actually only need to have, everyone? Just you. Just your heart, just your soul, just your willingness to share your pain, to share your journey, and to share all the wisdom that you've gathered through all the learning and healing teachings and everything that you've done over the years. Just the courage for you to share, to move forward, is what's needed. It does not have to be perfect. It does not need to have a fancy background. It needs nothing except you and your heart and your soul. And it doesn't even need a script. Today's video, completely 100% unscripted. I'm just talking to you. I'm just here with you. There are no notes. So I'm just letting you know that you can be of service and that you can help people. You can stand in your unique voice, your unique energy, and put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath. You can stand in that and you can help people. You can help people walk through their pain by walking through your pain and letting your pain become medicine that helps and heals other people and the planet. So I hope that this video has helped you. If it has, tag a friend in the comments right now. And if she's not already in this group, invite her into this group. My hope for this group is that we have authentic conversations around what it takes to be a spiritual entrepreneur, a woman in business who's centered in her heart and grounded in her soul, and who's standing for other women to have the same. And this is what we do when we gather people in. So please share this video right now by tagging a friend and inviting her into this group if she's not already here. I would love to hear what you all want to learn, what you want to talk about next. So post in the comments down below right now. What is it that you want to learn? What do you need most support with? What's your biggest challenge or struggle? Post it in the comments and I'll be sure to make videos for you on exactly this topic. I love being here with you all. You're so incredible, brave, and courageous, and you all give me fuel to keep walking the path, to keep walking through the pain, and to keep showing up, even when it feels uncomfortable. Even when the visibility makes me scared, I keep showing up because of all of you. So that's it. I hope that you have a beautiful evening, everyone, and I'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.